My beloved child. There is something unusual happening behind conversations you have never heard. Your name has entered rooms where you were never invited. People are not only speaking about your choices, your success, or your silence. They are speaking about one tiny detail that refuses to leave their minds. They are speaking about the way you laugh. Strange, isn't it? Out of everything they could notice, they keep returning to that one sound. They replay it in their memories as if it carries a message hidden beneath ordinary words. Some smile when they remember it. Some become quiet without knowing why. Others pretend they never noticed it, yet they secretly compare every laugh they hear to yours. They cannot explain this feeling. That is why the conversation keeps growing. One person tells another. Another repeats it to someone else. Soon your laughter becomes a mystery that no one can solve. They believe there is something inside it that should not exist, yet it does. They are searching for an answer. They think your laughter reveals a truth that your face never says aloud. And before this story reaches its end, you will understand why every whisper about you began with something that looked completely ordinary. Not everyone who hears your laughter reacts the same way. That is where the mystery becomes deeper. There are people who suddenly feel comfortable around you without understanding the reason. There are others who become nervous because your joy reminds them of something they lost years ago. Then there are those who quietly watch you from a distance. They wonder why someone who has faced difficult moments can still laugh like that. They expected pain to silence you forever. Instead, your laughter became stronger. It became brighter. It became impossible to ignore. This confuses them more than anything else. They wanted to predict your future by looking at your past, but your laughter broke every prediction they made. They cannot place you inside the box they created. Every time they think they understand you, your laughter destroys their conclusion. That is why they continue talking. They are not discussing the sound itself. They are discussing what it might mean. They believe it hides a secret that only a few people will ever discover. The surprising part is that someone among them already knows more than they are willing to admit. That person has remained silent for a very long time. But silence cannot last forever. Something even more unexpected has started happening. Every conversation about you follows the same strange pattern. It begins with a simple memory. Someone says they remember hearing you laugh. Another person agrees. A third person suddenly recalls a moment connected to that same sound. Within minutes the discussion changes direction completely. There is one detail they have still not spoken aloud. They keep circling around it, almost saying it, then stopping at the very last moment. Every conversation reaches the same point before falling silent. Someone always whispers, "There is something different about that laugh." Then the room becomes quiet. Not because they have nothing left to say, but because none of them can find the right words. They feel as though your laughter carries a memory that does not belong to them, yet somehow touches them deeply. The strange part is that people who have never even met each other describe it in almost the same way. That cannot be a coincidence. Different lives. Different experiences. Different personalities. Yet the same conclusion. They leave those conversations wondering why one ordinary moment could stay with them for weeks. They tell themselves they are overthinking it. But the thought always returns. That is why your name continues to appear in places where you never expected it. The mystery refuses to disappear. Instead, it grows stronger with every passing day. Far away from those conversations, someone has been watching without saying a single word. This person rarely speaks, but they notice everything. They have listened to every opinion. They have heard every theory. They have watched people try to explain what they cannot fully understand. While everyone else focused on the sound of your laughter, this person noticed something much deeper. They noticed what happens immediately after you laugh. Faces become lighter. Tension slowly disappears. Even people who were determined to remain serious suddenly soften without realizing it. That small change lasts only a few seconds, yet it is enough to leave an unforgettable impression. Most people never recognize that moment consciously. They only remember how they felt afterward. They walk away carrying an unexpected sense of comfort. Days later they cannot explain why your presence still remains in their thoughts. They assume it was the conversation. They assume it was the situation. They never imagine that one genuine laugh quietly changed the atmosphere around them. That hidden effect is exactly what has been puzzling everyone. Then something completely unexpected happens. A person who once misunderstood you hears others talking about your laughter. Instead of joining the discussion, they remain completely silent. They remember a moment they had buried deep inside their memory. A day when they expected you to respond with frustration, but instead you laughed with complete sincerity. At the time they thought you simply ignored the situation. Now they realize something different. Your laughter was never a sign of weakness. It was proof that you refused to let difficult moments define your heart. That realization changes everything. Suddenly they begin questioning every opinion they ever formed about you. If they were wrong about something so simple, what else have they misunderstood? One question leads to another. Soon they realize they never truly saw you for who you are. They only saw the version they created in their own mind. That discovery leaves them completely speechless. And without intending to, they become the next person to tell others that there is far more to your laughter than anyone first believed. As these conversations spread, another surprising pattern begins to appear. People who once overlooked you now pay closer attention whenever you enter a room. They do not know why. They simply feel that they might miss something important if they look away. Some expect another laugh. Others expect another moment they cannot explain. Every small interaction suddenly feels significant. Ordinary moments begin carrying unusual meaning. Even silence around you seems different. The more they observe, the more confused they become. Nothing dramatic happens. Nothing extraordinary takes place before their eyes. Yet they leave feeling as though they witnessed something unforgettable. That quiet mystery becomes impossible to ignore. It follows them into their thoughts long after the moment has passed. They replay conversations. They replay expressions. And somewhere in the middle of those memories, your laughter returns once again. It refuses to be forgotten. It becomes the thread connecting every unanswered question they still carry within themselves. But the story is far from over. The greatest surprise has not yet reached them. Hidden among all these conversations is one person who already knows the reason your laughter feels so unforgettable. They have protected that truth for a long time because they believed nobody was ready to hear it. Now the silence is beginning to break. Very soon they will speak. When they do, every whispered conversation, every puzzled expression, and every unanswered question will suddenly fit together like pieces of a single picture. The people who thought they were discussing a simple habit will realize they were standing on the edge of a much greater discovery all along. And when that truth finally comes into the light, many of them will never hear your laughter the same way again. They will understand that what stayed in their memory was never just the sound. It was the feeling that quietly remained long after the moment had ended.